One of the tests you're going to be taking on the HiSET is writing an essay. You're going to have to write an essay and pass it in order to pass the HiSET and get your high school equivalency. Now, people get pretty scared by that, thinking, how am I going to write a whole essay in a certain amount of time? And they panic and think, oh boy, how am I going to get all my ideas on paper? Are they going to be organized enough? And they get pretty worried and stressed out by it. But what we're going to do is show you a recipe for breaking your essay down into smaller parts so that it seems much easier to accomplish because you only have to do each part. So today we're going to be talking about writing an essay. And an essay is not the same as writing a story where you make up something or you tell something that happened to you. You're usually in an essay, you're trying to prove something. You're trying to prove an opinion you have. You're trying to make a point about something. And so when you do that, you have to give your reasons why you believe something is true. And so that's what we're going to be talking about. And what we're going to give you is a 5-paragraph recipe. It's like a recipe because if you follow this, you should be able to do this relatively easily because you're going to break it into parts and do each of those parts. 5-paragraph recipe. Okay, so paragraphs are parts of your essay, and we're going to talk about each of those parts. The first paragraph, paragraph 1, is probably the most important paragraph. In paragraph 1, you're going to state your thesis. Now, what does that mean, thesis? Your thesis is your main idea. So, they might present to you give you a choice on what you want to write about, give an opinion you might want to write about. They might give you a yes or no thing where you have to prove to them why something is true or something is not true. They might give you some kind of choice where you have to pick something that you prefer over something else. And in your first paragraph, you're going to write what you think is true. In fact, that's usually your first sentence. You can make that your first sentence. So sentence 1, because a paragraph is made up of sentence. Sentence 1, you state your thesis. You state what you believe. State what you want to prove. State your thesis. Then, sentence 2. You're gonna state the subtopics, which are your supporting ideas. We'll call them subtopics because the topic is your thesis, and the subtopics each explain your thesis. Subtopic 1. Or you could call it your reason why you think something is true. Reason 1. The second sentence, the third sentence now, because the second sentence was the first subtopic. The sentence 3 will be subtopic 2. And your fourth sentence is going to be subtopic 3. So you give a reason why you think something is true. So you're going to come up with 3 reasons why you think this main idea is true. Okay, 3 reasons. Now, paragraph 2. I'm going to indent it here because it's not as important as paragraph 1. It supports paragraph 1. So paragraph 2, You're just going to take that first subtopic. Subtopic 1. That first reason that you listed in paragraph 1, you're now going to write about that. You're going to tell more about that, okay? So let me see if I can do that like that. And we're going to say you're going to put 3 to 5 sentences. 3 to 5 sentences about this subtopic 1. You're going to expound on it. You're going to expand it. You're going to talk about that subtopic 1. The third paragraph, you do subtopic 2. And the fourth paragraph, you write about subtopic 3. Just write 3 or 4, 5 sentences about that, about why you supporting that idea, that reason, okay? Then last paragraph, paragraph 5, I'm going to put back out here. Paragraph 5 is very much like paragraph 1. It's a summary. And in that summary, you're going to pretty much say the same thing you said in paragraph 1. You repeat your thesis. Of course, you don't write the exact same sentence, or that will just seem redundant. You repeat the thesis in slightly different words. And reasons. And your subtopics. You can do that in 1 or 2 or sentences. One sentence can be your repeating the thesis, and the other sentence can combine the 3 reasons into like a list. And that should do it. 5 paragraphs. Doing each paragraph one at a time, it keeps you organized. It keeps you moving towards completing the essay in the amount of time. And it's really makes it so much easier if you know where you are in the stage of your essay, and you can get it done. So what we're going to look at is we're going to look at a sample essay now that I wrote that kind of shows you these 5 paragraphs. So here's our sample essay. Is life better in a city or small town? In your essay, describe what aspects you prefer about either a city or a small town. Give specific details to explain your views. Use your personal observations, experiences, and knowledge. Okay, so first of all, I have to make a choice, which it is, whether I want to do a city or a small town. And then I want to break it up into my 5 parts, my 5 paragraphs. Now, one thing that a lot of people like to do is they like to have some kind of visual way that they can set up a map of what they're going to be writing about. And so they might write a little outline here. This outline will have 5 parts to it, 1 part for each paragraph. So, first of all, I have to make my choice. So let's review again how we write this 5-paragraph essay. Write a 5-paragraph essay. The first paragraph is an introductory paragraph that lays out your thesis, your main idea of the essay, and contains a sentence or phrase for each subtopic, which are ideas that support your thesis. The next 3 paragraphs, which is the body of your essay, are for each of the subtopics. Each of these paragraphs should contain 3 or more sentences explaining that subtopic. The last paragraph in your essay is the summary, which repeats your main thesis. In this sample essay, I write about why I would prefer to live in a city. I actually like living in a small town, but thought it would be easier to write about living in a city. Even though I would rather live in a small town, I could think of more reasons or more details to put in my essay if I wrote about a city, because I can describe better what a city has. Okay, so first I'm going to do a little outline. Paragraph 1, that's my main thesis. So I'm going to write about city. That's what I'm going to say is the best place to live. Okay. Then I had to come up with reasons why I thought living in a city was better. Okay. And they're going to be my next three paragraphs. So paragraph two, let's see, why did I pick this one? I picked, let's see, oh yeah, paragraph two. So I decided that one reason for living in a city is there are more jobs, more opportunities in a big city if you're looking for work. More chance to move up too, to move up in those jobs and get higher salaries. Um, Reason two, which is my paragraph three, was entertainment. There are more diversions in a big city. And I thought there's a lot of things I can write about that you can do in a city that are fun. And paragraph four, which is my third reason, I thought, well, transportation. You can live in a city and you don't even have to own a car. There are many ways to get around in a big city because things are closer. Living in Bridgeton, you can walk to many things if you feel like walking. I like walking, so there's places you can walk to in the city that are relatively close. Then your last paragraph is just your summary. It's kind of like your first one. It's kind of like your first one. Now, by the way, these three are all included in paragraph one with one sentence each. Each of these gets a sentence in paragraph one. In the paragraphs, you have to write 3 or 4 that support that. Details. Okay. One thing I forgot to say, of course, is you're not going to be writing like I'm writing now. You're going to be on a computer, on a word processor. I don't know if it has a spell check or not. Probably doesn't. So you're going to have to do your best on your spelling that you can. But they're mostly going to be concerned if you can actually put ideas down on paper, and that's why we have this recipe, this 5-paragraph recipe. Okay. We're going to look now at a sample essay to see how a sample essay on this topic to see how it follows this recipe. Okay, so here's my essay. Paragraph one, of course, is my main thesis paragraph, and my first sentence gives the main idea. There are many good reasons for living in a small town, but I think, given a choice, I would prefer to live in a city. So there I state exactly where I would prefer of the two choices. Now, this next sentence is going to be my first reason. There are many job opportunities in a city. Second reason, when I am not working, I would have many more opportunities available as to how I might enjoy that free time. So that's my second reason. And while the city might be bigger than a small town, in many ways a city is easier to get around in, even if you are without a car. So that was my third reason. So I listed my 3 reasons. Now I'm going to go back to that first reason and write a paragraph about that. Okay. There is a good reason why more and more people in the world live in big cities. That is where the jobs are. Many of the employment opportunities in a city are high-end, meaning they pay more. Large corporations are often based in a big city. Young people embarking on a career are often drawn to the glamour and vibrancy of a large urban area. Many large cities have universities, which are important in preparing young people for these high-level jobs. So there I explained about finding a job, getting a high income. That's easier to do in a big city than it would be in a small town. Second paragraph, I'm going to talk about diversions and entertainment. Of course, life in a big city is more than just work. There's so much going on in a city that one cannot easily get bored. Many cities host sports teams, and there are sporting events year-round. Well-planned cities also provide green spots, such as parks, for recreational use. Many cultural events and venues, such as theater, museums, and libraries, provide plenty of diversion. Restaurants and clubs provide entertainment and places to socialize with friends. And finally, my third reason involves transportation. Someone living in a city usually finds it easier to get around than does a person in a more rural area who must rely on a car to get anywhere. A city will usually have one or more options of public transport, which include taxi service, bus, trolleys, and trains. Closer to your home or apartment, you may find small food stores, cafes, and specialty shops within walking distance. So there were my three reasons put out into three different paragraphs. Now I'm ready to sum up and complete my essay. So I'm going to repeat pretty much what I said in the first paragraph. Though there may be many advantages to living in a small town, I still would prefer to live in a vibrant city. And now I'm going to list my three reasons all in one sentence. The employment opportunities, the many recreation and cultural diversions, and the ease of transportation make a city a convenient and enjoyable home for many. Ta-da!